Hello and welcome back to Moldova. I'm in the capital Chisinau and I'm actually heading to Transnistria today, which is a country that doesn't exist. I'll explain a little bit more about it in a bit. I'm going to take a bus or a minibus to reach Tiraspol, which is the largest city in Transnistria. There are so many of these local types of transportation, some large old buses, others small white vans. I found the bus here to take me to Tiraspol in Transnistria, and the ticket was 38 lei, just under £2. Hey, so I've now got off the bus. I'm here in Transnistria. Transnistria is a country that never was one. It's a strip of land between Moldova and Ukraine where 500,000 people live. When the Soviet Union collapsed in the early 90s, Transnistria was to become part of Moldova. But because it has a heavy Russian population and many Russian speakers, they wanted to remain part of the Soviet Union and have an independent state away from Moldova. And a war was fought for 2 years between Transnistria and Moldova. Eventually, there was a stalemate, and after a ceasefire, things just carried on the way they were. So now you have Transnistria, this country, which isn't a country because it hasn't been recognized by anyone. Most countries around the world are afraid to recognize places like Transnistria because they don't like to promote breakaway places that can just suddenly claim their own nation. So how did I enter into Transnistria? If you have an EU or US passport, as far as I know, you can enter for 3 days without any payment. I'm just here on a day trip, taking the bus from Chisinau. Other countries, I'm not so sure. You have to do your research depending on where you're from. They just give you a slip in your passport and you can enter for the day and come back to Moldova again. So here we are, I'm walking into town now. It's very quiet. Look at this. What was probably an old playground or a pair of swings during the Soviet Union has just been completely left here today. Not even restored or taken down. Left halfway. And a swing tied up here. You can see the rust on it. I think kind of sums up that feeling that Transnistria has been frozen in time a little bit. Lack of investment. Here we have an old church just in front of me. You can see there's a fair bit of rubble and debris just lying around. Things haven't been finished here, and it's not even open by the looks of it. Yeah, it's locked. They're probably still trying to refurbish it. This is really a sad sight. There's a lot of buildings like this and just a lack of anything happening or improving around Tiraspol from what I've seen in the early moments here. Transnistria actually has all the ingredients of an independent nation, except it isn't. It has its own currency, its own parliament, its own army. Pretty much it's all established, and yet not a single country recognizes it. It doesn't look like Moldova are going to grant Transnistria any independence, and it doesn't look like Transnistria really want to budge either. So it's kind of a stalemate right now here in 2019. Whether it will change in the future, who knows? There are many more people that know a lot more about the situation than I do. I'm here on my own today. I don't have anyone with me advising me on different things. I did ask a couple people that I knew in Moldova, but they weren't available, so I had to come here on my own today. I don't have a translator or anything. But it's also interesting coming here on my own and seeing it for myself and just saying as an outsider how I feel, rather than someone else portraying a narrative to me. So that's probably a good advantage of this video. It's purely just my impressions of the place that's coming through. You can see on the back of this car here the flag of Transnistria. So here you can get a feel for what the average street looks like. Supermarket across the road here. You can see all the signs are in Russian everywhere you look. Over here as well. So you're not going to find Transnistria on any maps. It won't be on Google, it won't be on Apple. You're not going to see it in any atlases. It's a country that's claimed to be one, but is sort of forgotten about by the rest of the world. And it's kind of a sad story, I suppose you could say. Head to the 25th of October Street to find the main downtown area of Tiraspol. Restaurants, cafes, a few shops, and where most of the people will be. Perhaps the most interesting building in Tiraspol is the City Hall here. Colourful and grand, and a statue of Lenin's head right in front of it. And this man drowning all the flowers. So I'm now sat here in a restaurant on the 25th of October Street, and as you can see here, Transnistria actually has its own currency. When you first arrive, after taking the bus from Chisinau, if that's where you're coming from like me, then you need to exchange straight away. Because for me, I wanted to go to the toilet in the bus station, but it cost one of whatever the currency is called here, I'm not sure. And the woman said no, and I tried to give her one Moldovan lei. So I had to go and exchange my money to go and then use the toilet. I exchanged around £10, which is around 200 lei in Moldovan currency. I think that comes to around 200 in Transnistrian currency. So yeah, about £10 in total. I just changed for the day. And gonna grab some food with that money now and spend the money here in Transnistria. Side note, don't bother trying to exchange your Transnistrian currency back to Moldovan or Ukrainian money after you've left. No one will take it. You need to exchange it back to the currency that you were using from the country you came from before you leave Transnistria. That can only be done here. They won't accept it anywhere else. In the menu here, all the prices are in the currency of Transnistria, and prices are about the same as Moldova, I would say. So just off the 25th of October Street is this pretty grand square, big statue, man on a horse from 1979. His name is written. I'm not too sure about the context. Definitely a very Soviet, you could almost say communist feel to the layout. Everything very symmetrical, gridded. There's even a tank over here, which I'm going to get a bit closer to, and the main statue of Lenin, which is just a bit further on. So here it is, proof that there are still some parts of the world where the Soviet Union almost still exists. A huge statue of Lenin here, right in front of the Parliament building. And there's not too many places in the world that you're going to find something like this. Working my way back to the bus station, but cutting through the back streets instead of via the 25th of October Street to try and see a little bit more of the rawness and reality of Tiraspol, because the 25th of October Street is the most polished one and probably doesn't really reflect what life is like for the average person here. Check out how old and authentic this little shop is. I just want to say now that I don't really know much at all about Transnistria, and anything I do say in this video is only what I have gathered from seeing today and a few bits of information that I've read online. As for the people here, I did meet one person who actually was born here when I was in Ukraine, and they told me that if they wanted to visit Chisinau in Moldova, the capital city, they have to go through border control, and it's very difficult for them to go anywhere. It's the same if they want to go to Ukraine. So travel restrictions are very heavy on the people living here. They have to use their passport to get pretty much anywhere because Transnistria is just not a big place. So that's an issue. There are some people here who like it the way it is. Their families were the ones who fought to stay in the Soviet Union and fought for Transnistria. There are other people that I think are probably most likely just caught in the situation and they've grown to live with it. So after a quick stroll around the city, I'm now heading back to Chisinau. This is my last video in this series in Eastern Europe. I'm heading back home for the first time in 8 months. I haven't been back to the UK since January. You can probably tell by the length of this video that I need a reset, I need a break. If you like old Soviet locations or strange types of tourism, then it's definitely worth it to come here and see it for yourself.